3. Hopefully, we're going to be able to reconnect a little bit here with Coach Wanstead. They're going through some weather issues, and hopefully, we're able to finish up our talk with him. I'd love to get his take again on Jordan Davis. So we will talk hopefully with him. If not, we'll continue here. So the Arizona Cardinals now are in the talks of cutting DeAndre Hopkins. No team is going to give Arizona what they want. Why? He's got a $30 million number on him this year, and they want a second. So wait a minute. You want me to pay $30 million and give you a 2 for him? Not me. No, thank you. $30 million for a wide receiver. Dude, he's a great football player. He was trending for 1,300 yards this year and 119 catches. He's a fabulous football player. He's in the conversation as one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. He's still got a lot in the tank. Not at that price. So Arizona has to cut him, which means this. He's going to be able to pick and choose wherever he wants to go, which could be frightening. What if he goes to the Jets? How about if he goes to Dallas? You know the Cowboys are kicking the tires right now on Derrick Henry? That's a fact. The Cowboys have inquired to Tennessee what it would take to get Derrick Henry in the building. I believe they have until June 1 to figure that out. The Cowboys are going to get either Bijan Robinson or Derrick Henry. I'm hoping they get Bijan Robinson because Derrick Henry, how many people think Derrick Henry has anything left in the tank? Yeah, but again, Yale, if he's cut, remember he signed a 1-year tag last year, did Henry. He doesn't have a contract. Hopkins does. Arizona's got to get like 30 this year, and it's like 38 the year after. There's big money on this. He's got 2 seasons left, does DeAndre Hopkins. Henry, see this guy here goes like this. He's got half a tank. Guy had 1,500 yards last year. Second in the NFL in rushing. And this guy thinks he's got a half a tank. So you think a guy with 1,500 yards, and they know you're getting the ball, has a half a tank of gas left? Not me. That guy's built like Adrian Peterson. That's an Adrian Peterson guy. Derrick Henry's a Hall of Fame back. He's a Hall of Famer. Greatest stiff arm since Jim Brown, maybe Walter Payton. Just a great football player. Can you imagine Dallas getting Derrick Henry? It would save Dak Prescott's career. Because Dallas wants to run the ball. Hey, so you would have Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks on your offense. Wow. Dallas is closing the gap on the Eagles. They're closing the gap. You're still better at wideout. You're still better in the line. For whatever reason, you can't beat Dak. Dak beats the Eagles. For whatever reason. Is Jalen a better quarterback? He hasn't proven it against Dallas yet. Or more to the point, Jalen Hurts has not proven that he can beat Dak Prescott yet. He's not. Okay, you could say he's the best quarterback in the division. Well, when Dak's on the field, that's not the case. Well, Jalen wasn't on. Again, every time he's on the field, he beats Dallas, or Dallas beats the Eagles. When he's on the field. Cooper Rush, whatever. Jalen Hurts. Tavon, are you under the impression Jalen Hurts is beating him? He's not beating him. That's not true. He hasn't. And I think he's 9-3 versus Philly. So you could say whatever you want and deny it. But he's got a great record against Philadelphia. Henry was invisible against Philly last year. Well, I'll tell you what, with a better O-line in Dallas, so you're going to put Derrick Henry, and I would say Tennessee had one of the shittiest lines last year, and he still had 1,500 yards. So you put him behind Martin and them dudes. You don't think he's going to have more production? I say if he gets to Dallas, he'll get 2,000 yards again. Again. Remember that. Again. He's a 2,000-yard guy in his history. He'll do it again. I think he's only 28. Derrick Henry's 28. He had 1,500 yards last year. What an upgrade that would be over Zeke Elliott. And then you have Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry in the backfield. Shit. Yeah. Hey, man, that's a pretty formidable offense. That's a pretty formidable offense. And Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry running against the Eagle front four. I think the Eagle front four is very good. I do. I think they're still going to struggle, though, stopping the run. But you put Derrick Henry back behind that Cowboy offensive line, he gets $2,000. That for sure. And it takes more pressure off Dak. Dallas knows. Do you know how Mike McCarthy can save that guy's career? Run the ball more. Take the ball out of Dak's hands until he can show you that he's going to curb those interceptions that he had a year ago. What's the thing you want to do the most? Dude, I think personally, the fact that Zeke Elliott was running out of gas and that they didn't have a formidable number two because they didn't have Amari Cooper on that team was the reason that Dak Prescott started zooming up in interceptions when he came back off that injury. There's no coincidence to that. I'm not saying if you take A.J. Brown off the football team that Jalen Hurts is going to start throwing more picks. But he would. Because you have lesser guys there then. Who would be your number two guy? Who would be your number two if AJ gets hurt right now in Philly? You guys tell me. Who would be your number two wide receiver in Philadelphia? Quez Watkins? I don't know, man. That sounds like a pick machine for me. So, if A.J. Brown goes down, who's your number two dude? Quez? That ain't working. Cowboys are a better wide receiver core than you. If one of those two wide receivers gets injured or misses some time, Dallas will have a better wide receiving core than you. Right now, Eagles do. Right now, Philly does. Well, Tavon, if you ever listened, wide receiver. Wasn't talking about the tight end. Wide receiver. Thank you. Now, again, some of you have to listen better. Okay? If CD goes down, I would say this to you. If CD goes down, they'd be in the same position Philly would be in. That's how close it is. You have no depth. Dallas has no depth. But if you put Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard, and I would say this to you, okay, so you guys are right. You want to use Dallas Goedert as a option? Tony Pollard would be their option. Tony Pollard is a better pass-catching running back than anything you've had in the last 5 years. That's a fact. You don't have pass catchers in Philly. As a matter of fact, the position is devalued. That's why the guy's in Carolina now. That's why the guy's in Carolina. But you put Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry, I think you closed the gap on Philly. I think they know that, Dallas. You guys, as we're getting closer to the draft, Stephen Jones is going to join us. And so we're going to talk to him about that. They may have Derrick Henry already. They may have him signed by the draft. I don't know. They may end up trading their 26th pick to Tennessee and get Derrick Henry. They may use that. I think it's 20. I think it's 26 unless someone corrects me on that. I could see them sending that pick to Tennessee for Derrick Henry. I would do it. I think Derrick Henry's got 3 years. And like Tone said, so you give me 5 years of Bijan Robinson, helping Jalen Hurts, take some of the load off him, carrying the ball. Your best running back right now is your quarterback. In Dallas, you would have Pollard and you would have Henry or B.J. Robinson. In Philadelphia, right now, your best running back's your QB. That's a remedy for disaster. It's totally. Your best running back last year was the guy in Carolina. Well, they've taken now and put more pressure on your QB. Okay? They put more pressure on him. Now, $50 million, I get it. But your best back is not on the roster yet, probably. I don't know. Maybe they're happy again. See, this is why when Howie goes, I'm happy with our running back core. Are you? Really? You're happy with that? You're happy with the fact that the best running back's your QB still? Can't think that that's not something you're looking for. Your best running back in Baltimore can't be your quarterback either. Or look at what the results are. And Lamar's going around telling people my durability shouldn't be in question. Really? Sorry, dude. When you don't show up to playoff games and you're not there at the end of the season, I don't care how you want to phrase it. I don't care how your agent wants to phrase it. Availability and durability are part of the evaluation when you're putting a position together like the quarterback position, determining whether or not you're going to put $51 million in a guy's pocket. Sorry, kid. That is part of it all. And if Lamar doesn't want to hear that, that's because he's got his head in the sand. He's got his head in the sand and he's defending himself. Shut up, kid. Don't defend yourself. You can't win that argument when you're not on the field. Every time I look up and I see Tyler Huntley playing and you're not there, I don't care what you say. I'm not giving Lamar Jackson $51 million, just so you know. I'm not. Unless he's got a formidable offense and he's got a running back. Baltimore needs a running back. They don't need a wide receiver. That's stupid. Is Dallas in the Super Bowl with that trade? That's a great comment, Eagle Way. Would Dallas be in the Super? Look at what the moves would be if they get Derrick Henry. If they put Derrick Henry on that Cowboy team, adding Stephon Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, they added more quality players to their team than you guys did. Now, you lost 5 starters on defense. You didn't sign anybody with the talent level of Brandon Cooks. You didn't sign anybody with the bringing in. You re-signed. It's important. Getting Slay and Bradbury back. Okay, I'll walk that back. I'll walk that back because the re-signing of Kelsey and the corners have to be taken into consideration too. It has to be because they were free agents too. Okay? They were free agents too. They could have went anywhere. The Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham signs, they're good. And they're better when you have the corners back and the center back. And then you add that into the mix and you put the collective group. Like I said, this is more about the collective group. Okay? Bradbury, Slay, Kelsey, right? Then you put Graham and Cox. You're like, yeah. Okay, those are good signs. You still lost safety, 2 linebackers, an interior defensive tackle. You still lost 5 starters off your football team. Center or guard on the other side, and you're running back. You're all pro running back. So you've lost 5 starters. But I would say you still have to count Kelce as a re-sign because he was a free agent. I probably think there could have been a good market for him if he chose to go somewhere else. Not saying he would have, but there would have been a market for him. Bijan is potentially a generational talent. Again, edge, I made the comparison on B.J. Robinson, the Texas running back, to Le'Veon Bell. I think he could be a Le'Veon Bell. And whatever you thought Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh, I thought Le'Veon Bell was one of the most complete backs. If I'm not mistaken, I think Le'Veon Bell was a Michigan State kid. He seemingly produced some pretty good backs there. So I would say this to you. He kind of reminded me of Le'Veon Bell, elusive, good in traffic. He's not a magnet in traffic. He runs in space very well. He's got great hands. And he's kind of like Le'Veon. You know what I loved about Le'Veon Bell? He was patient when he ran the ball. How many times did it look like he meandered into the line of scrimmage? But he was just being patient and letting the play develop. That's such a talent. You know, when you watch Miles Sanders, he slammed it into you. But he would always run into the wall, hoping that he fell off the wall. And I never thought he was a good vision runner. I thought he could never get past the first line of defense. I thought he was that guy. He's not great in space. Like, I'm not saying you have to be Barry Sanders. Okay, but I mean, I always thought Miles Sanders ran into contact. You know, there's guys that run away from contact. This guy, here's an example of guys in college that don't get it. Remember Reggie Bush? Reggie Bush, when he was in college, I thought he was the college version of Gale Sayers. He just was electric in space. Well, there's a lot of space in the Pac-12. And he could do that juking, and he could do all that, and he could do that. How many times did you watch him on film or the 22, or you watch Reggie in the pros, and he's juking in front of a guy? The guy's not moving because he thinks he's stupid, because I got just as much speed as you. You run a 4.4, so do I. You ain't getting away from me. And all you did was you juked yourself into minus yardage. And he didn't figure that out until a couple more years in New Orleans. And that's when he started figuring that out. You got to hit the hole, dude. Get up, hit the hole, get up there. And he's just running around. He's running around like he's got a heart attack. And you're like, kid, hit the hole. But then there's certain guys like Le'Veon Bell that sit there and let the play develop. And they're so skilled at it. This kid Robinson shows those kind of tendencies. Now, remember, when you compare a guy to somebody like that, what you have to do, you always have to put the precursor on when you say he shows tendencies of Le'Veon Bell. Because you don't ever want to compare, but you want to give you a visual of what that kid's potential looks like and what his fundamentals look like and what they could potentially be. Okay? So kind of like that. But Reggie Bush never lived up to the potential that he showed in college because Reggie thought he could do the same shit in college that he could do in the NFL. And when he got to the NFL, he realized those corners, they're not biting on that dumb shit. That's why he had a lot of minus yardage plays. He had a lot of minus yardage plays because Reggie thought he was just going to take that SC stuff and he was going to run in space and he was going to do all that juking. Those NFL guys don't go for that, man. Portholes are smaller, spacing smaller, lanes are smaller. The gaps close quicker. You've got to hit smaller holes. You got to do all that stuff when you're a running back in the NFL. Okay, these guys are on you like shit on rice, dog. North and South. That's when you watched Adrian Peterson at Oklahoma and you watched the explosiveness. You guys, what was that running back's name from Penn State years ago too? Larry something. What was his name? Larry Johnson? Does that sound right? Larry Johnson. You guys remember a guy by the name of Larry Johnson? He was a horse. And in my opinion, Larry Johnson was like the best back Penn State has had since Lydell Mitchell and in Franco. And I thought he was better than Saquon Barkley. Larry Johnson, man, was a bitch. And he was big. He was physical. I could think that he may have led the NFL in rushing. Larry Johnston, was it? Man, he was good, man. He was a force. Played in Kansas City. That's right, Ray. That's the kind of guy that doesn't need space. He just makes his own space. Guy was a beast, man. That's the kind of back. If you're going to be a back like Miles Sanders, you got to be physical like that. Okay, the hole's not there. Well, I'm going to make one right through your ass. And that's how he played. You know, the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. The hole wasn't there. He carved one out. Yeah. Okay. That's how that guy played. Hey, there ain't no hole. Don't worry. I'll make one. I'll carve one out. There's very few backs like that today. That Derrick Henry's a guy like that. Hey, there ain't a hole there. I'll carve one out. Bijan dominated the Big 12, but when he played Alabama, they kicked his ass. Yeah, well, Big 12 versus SEC, you're going to get your ass kicked. Hey, those Jimmies and Joes. Here, I'll tell you something, Eagle Way. This is something for you to always know when you're playing a better opponent. Lou Holtz was asked the question, how come, when he left William and Mary, I think it was, he left William and Mary. Yeah, you'll like this. Lou Holtz was asked the question why you left William and Mary for NC State. I think it was NC State he went and coached. And Lou in his own way, well, he always sound like Elmer Fudd. Because Notre Dame just kind of could beat that. You know Lou Holtz, right? Wait a bit, Notre Dame did better than that. Notre Dame did better than that. Well, Lou, no, I want to know why you left. Why'd you leave William and Mary for NC State? He goes, well, there's just a little too many Marys and not enough Williams. There's too many Marys and not enough Williams at William and Mary. That might get it done. Oh, man. I get Notre Dame, to get to Notre Dame. Just one of the absolutely best places I've ever seen. The Golden Dome. Lou used to do this. Hey, Yale. Hey, he used to, it sounds like Adam Sandler. That's funny, Arthur. He used to go like this when we played Notre Dame. This is Miami team. These guys are just the best. I've never seen talent like this. We'd all sit around. Jimmy Johnson would go like this. We're listening to Lou. He's at a press conference. That Miami team, I'd never seen anything like it. They got the best. They got that bad. That's unbelievable. And Jimmy would get to the podium and go, hey, Lou, you're 11-0. Lou's talking like he's 7-5. Lou, you're 11-0. Lou, you're 11-0, man. They good to know Miami team. He's just trying to pull some bullshit on you. And Jimmy would look at us and go, don't buy this guy, man. They get 11-0. They got Jerome Bettis, Ricky Waters on that team. And these guys, this guy's talking like he had nobody on that team. I've never seen more talent in my life than that Miami Hurricane team. Okay, Lou. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I told you the story before. The reason that Notre Dame they won that 88 championship because of Prop 48, was it? Prop 48 got all the non-qualifiers into Notre Dame. All of a sudden, all the nuns and all the sisters and all the people at the admissions went, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. And after that, Notre Dame never won again. I mean, understand something about Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not a national power anymore. Brian Kelly used it as a stepping stone for LSU and $100 million. Notre Dame's not a national power. Okay? In the last 60 years, Notre Dame has 2 national titles, 88 and 73. 50 years, probably. Come on, man. And every time they get into a Final Four, they get annihilated. Them in Michigan pretend that they're national powers. Michigan in the last 80 years has a half a title. I mean, Bo Schembechler finished second once in his entire time in Ann Arbor. Come on, man. Michigan and Notre Dame are national powers. Really? That's not true. They're fine programs. But if you want to win national championships, you don't go to those two. You don't go to those two schools. Here's where you go: Clemson, Ohio State, maybe Oregon one day. Where do you go to the SEC? Southern Cal will never win a national championship with Lincoln Riley at USC. They'll never win a national title at USC with Lincoln Riley. And you guys wanted that dude to be your head coach in Philly. There's not one guy in his right mind that's a defensive talent would go to Southern Cal and play. Can you name me any defensive players from Southern Cal? Like, they used to have droves of them in the draft. The Palomalus, all them dudes, all the great players they used to have, the Ronnie Lotts. Ain't none of those guys at that program anymore. They're all in the SEC. Nobody goes to Southern Cal to play defense. You're either a wideout. Shit, we're the running backs. They used to be running back you. Hold the Heisman backs. Who's the best back they've had out of Reggie, probably, right? The last great one. Nobody goes to Southern Cal unless you're a receiver. Dude, name me the greatest quarterback in the history of USC football that played in the NFL. Can you? Look at this. Ohio State and USC. Would you consider those two programs when it comes to drafting players? Name me two quarterbacks. One from Southern Cal and one from Ohio State. In the last 100 years that have gone on to do anything in the NFL and were evaluated for the draft. Name me one from each school. I'll give you, I don't care if they were marginal. Who, Carson Palmer? Probably. So your ceiling's Carson Palmer at USC. A lot better than Ohio State. A lot better than Ohio State, that's for sure. Okay? A lot better than Ohio State. So between those two schools, here's what you have. Mike Tomczak and Carson Palmer. Caleb Williams is going to be great. Really? Okay. You say so. CJ Stroud still is going to be he's going to be a game changer. If you say so. Not me. I'll draft the shortstop kid from Alabama. You know why I'd take Bryce Young over CJ Stroud? There is no history of success with quarterbacks in that school, and he ain't going to be the game-changing guy. When I watch him play, that he does not make me go, wow, that guy is some player. I'll tell you this, Dwayne Haskins showed me more talent than he did. Dwayne Haskins showed me more ability. Shit, Cardale Jones showed me more ability than C.J. Stroud did. And everyone's like, this kid here, man, is prototypical. And I'm like, prototypical Ohio State, you mean? He's not a prototypical NFL talent. He's a prototypical Ohio State talent. Like, get this. Think about evaluating for the draft is important because I think going to certain places, you're trying. What's the most important thing Howie Roseman's trying to do in the draft in 3 weeks? You know the most important thing he's trying to do? He's trying to eliminate failure. Why do you go to programs that have a lineage of failure and draft the same position to get the same result? hoping that maybe one of these guys is going to break the curve or the trend. So you're playing the law of averages at Ohio State. He's going to be it. Wow, what a gamble at 1. What a gamble with the first pick in the draft. You're going to gamble that he's going to break the trend. Okay. Think about Ohio State for instance. So you had Joe Burrow in your building and in your program, and you didn't see it. And I'm supposed to believe C.J. Stroud's the guy. When the same guy was evaluating Joe Burrow and told Joe Burrow he'd never play in Columbus, along with Urban Meyer, I'm supposed to take his evaluation after letting Joe Burrow walk out of Columbus to a national championship at LSU and a Heisman Trophy. Why would I believe you? You had 2 years with the kid, Burrow. You had 2 years with Burrow. But when scouts come in, this kid's got everything. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So I'm going to take the kid who may not be the physically imposing guy. I'm sold on Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud for this. That guy wins against some of the most important talent that's going into the draft. He throws through small windows. He throws dimes. He's competitive. He may not be the biggest guy. Tone, I'm going to take your philosophy. If I get 5 years out of that guy and he delivers me a Super Bowl and he gets destroyed in his 6th year, it was worth it. Okay? He plays 10 years. It would be icing on the cake. But I'm going to count on having Bryce Young for 5 years, and they're going to be magical years. C.J. Stroud, I'm not drafting you. Because I don't believe, one, your conference is not that good. And secondly, your program doesn't develop that position. Isn't it funny? All the players that come out of Ohio State are wideouts. So they win in spite of the QB. The QB is not the catalyst there. It's the wideouts and the back and the line and the defense. That's how they win at Ohio State. They couldn't recruit a quarterback for the next level if their life depended on it. They never have. Whether it was Woody Hayes, it was Jim Tressel, if it was Urban Meyer or Ryan Day, they can't do it. They just can't. As I told you before, Purdue has had more success at the quarterback position in the Big Ten than almost any other program in that conference. Shit, to some extent, Oregon has had more success than USC at the quarterback position. And Caleb Williams, in next year's draft, he's a transfer from OU. I mean, what quarterback at UCLA has ever been great? Oh, yeah, that's right. You got a transfer from OU. You got Aikman. He was a transfer. Played at UCLA. So the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the 2 Los Angeles schools will be transfers. You're telling me there's no kid in the Southern California area that's a superstar player at the quarterback position that wants to stay there? Gee, I wonder why. Because the program doesn't develop them. Never have. If I'm a top flight quarterback at Mater Dei in Los Angeles, I'm going to the southern part of the United States. I'm going to the SEC. Even that jackass Brian Kelly, I'm going there. Even though I don't like the guy, I'm going there. And soon to be after this year, Dumbo Fisher will be fired at A&M. They'll get a decent coach at that program too, once they get rid of Dumbo Fisher. Hey, I know I sound like I'm picking on the former FSU and Florida coaches. There's probably something to that. Yale, there's probably something to that. Dumbo Fisher and Urban Meyer. There's probably something there. I don't know. Yeah. It has to be, right? Oh, man. Oh, hey, when I take a timeout, I'm going to show you something. I promised you guys. Yeah, I see it now. I promised you, and my aunt knows this. My dad played golf with Jackie Robinson, and the Robinson Foundation gave me something. I thought it was lost, and I'm going to show you guys this thing when I take a time. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take a time out now. I want to show you this thing. Jackie Robinson's wife, Rachel Robinson, gave me this. And what's cool about it is I went to school with Jackie's kids. My dad played golf, as I said, at Hubbard Heights with him. And we used to go up to Pound Ridge, and they lived right near this place called the Italian Center. And so I've swam in the pool there. And Jackie was a staple in Stanford. I got pictures, actually. Bob Robustelli sent me some pictures of him and Jackie Robinson. I thought you guys would like to see this. This thing's pretty cool. I'm going to show it to you. I got this from the Robinson Foundation, I think in 97. So I'm going to take a time out. We'll reset some things here. Keep it here on